In 2009-2010, Our Companions was somewhat idle. In many ways, we were growing. The number of volunteers, the number of donors, and the number of animals' lives that we were helping through our various programs. We had the land that was donated years earlier, but we hadn't had much success in terms of fundraising. In fact, we were still operating out of our basement, which we affectionately called Our Companions World Headquarters.
Around this time, we were just getting to know Valerie. She was on the board, and right out of the gate, she was very engaged and clearly very smart and really interested in learning everything she could about the organization and very interested in where we were going.
To this day, I can't remember why or how I ever got involved with Our Companions, except I made a donation, and unlike other organizations, Our Companions was smart enough to come after me.
I know exactly how we found Valerie. Back in the early days, to build up our donor list, we would try to obtain the annual reports of other nonprofit organizations, and most of those annual reports list their supporters. So we would just go through and pluck out the names, particularly the higher-end donors, and then we'd try to find their addresses online, and if we did, they went on our list. And it was tough if it was a common name, and Friedman's a pretty common name, but we got lucky and found her.
I'm the least likely person to be involved in rescue. I had no real feeling for animals growing up. They were not a part of my life when I lived a long time in New York. And then two things happened. One, my sister Lita, who has since become a major donor to Our Companions, had a couple of rescue poodles. And I thought, we're pretty similar, and if Lita loves dogs the way she does, there might be something in this dog thing. And then Frank entered my life. And he was absolutely convinced, and he'd had a great relationship with dogs and cats his whole life, that nobody could live a full life without animals. So he talked me into it, and we started with a rescue cat, and when the world didn't come to an end, at 7 weeks we brought Buster into our life, and Buster changed my life. I used to say Buster was so good it hurts. I fell in love with this dog. And Buster was the beginning of my voyage. So many years ago, when Susan and Mitch came upon me, and I started investigating Our Companions, I found an organization very different from many of the other animal organizations I'd been supporting. And the difference is that it was run like a business, and it had the potential not only to meet needs today, but to prepare for the future. And then, of course, the thing that makes Our Companions unique is the sanctuary, which was just getting started when I became involved, but has since grown to be able to help more animals. And that makes us unique, certainly in this part of the country. And in addition, Susan is as neurotic as I am, actually. We both are very detail-oriented, and we can make people around us crazy, and that's what I love about her.
Our capital campaign to launch the first phase of construction at the sanctuary needed a lead gift. In other words, we hadn't raised any money yet. We needed something to get it going. So we approached Valerie, who had quickly become one of our biggest advocates, and Mitchell met with her and discussed our need for a lead gift. And actually, when he came back and told me how the visit went, it sounded a little bit more like begging, but that kind of speaks to our desperation in those early days. A couple of days later, Valerie got back to us and said she indeed is going to make a $100,000 gift. But she wanted to structure it as a challenge. She would give Our Companions $100,000 after we've raised $100,000.
Well, part of it is because I've been a donor to many organizations in the past, and I know the energy that challenges create. So when you people came to me early in your life and asked for $100,000, I had to think, how can I create the same energy with Our Companions that has been created in other organizations I support? And it was important to me to know that there were other people who shared the vision.
To be honest, at first we weren't really that thrilled about the whole challenge idea, the we'll give you 100, but first you have to raise 100, because it just sounded like a lot of extra work. And I think we even pushed back a little, which was probably a very ungrateful thing to do in hindsight. I think we said, Valerie, this sounds great. We can totally do that. Or you could just give us the money, and we'll figure out the rest. But it was actually a great thing to do for two reasons. One, it held us accountable. And two, it became a galvanizing thing for our donors. People wanted to be part of this challenge. And they rallied, and suddenly we had $200,000. And more importantly, we had something that, from a fundraising standpoint, we had never had before, which was momentum. And then we kept plugging along, and several months later, we reached our $1 million goal, and shortly after that, we began construction at the sanctuary. And it all started with that challenge.
Beyond the challenge, we knew we were onto something very special with Valerie, and it wasn't just the money. It was the investment of her time and passion and interest in the organization. I mean, she cared. She cared as much as we cared. And the feeling of having another partner in the organization that's a leader, it just felt really good. So we made the decision to ask her to serve as our first board chair. And with her at the helm, everything changed. We finally had somebody to lead board meetings, to thank donors on behalf of the organization, and to speak at receptions and our companions' events. And man, is she a fantastic public speaker. She just gets up there and speaks off the cuff and from the heart, and it's extraordinary.
And again, she really held us accountable. You know, she asked a lot of questions, sometimes questions we weren't prepared to answer, but as they say, she made us confront the brutal facts. And it really helped us grow and stretch, and we're a stronger organization because of it.
When I first met Valerie, it was very apparent that here was a woman who genuinely was very concerned. Valerie has been and continues to be a great leader for our companions. Not only has she pushed the organization to be the very best that they can be, but she's also pushed to motivate us as individuals to step up to the plate and do the most that we can. Valerie is a true leader in every sense of the word.
And the evidence of how successful her tenure as board chair was is everywhere. During the time she was board chair, we opened the sanctuary, we expanded the sanctuary, and right now we're on the cusp of expanding it even further. We also opened our Valerie Friedman Program Center in Manchester, which we named after her.
Valerie is one very tough woman. Val has taken it upon herself to go into some of the bigger city municipal dog pounds, cities like Waterbury and New Britain, and steer down the issues. It takes a very special and tough person to be able to go in under those conditions and try to do some positive work.
So my initial impression of Valerie when she first came on the board was that this is someone who has lots of opinions and was not shy about expressing them. And it was fortunate for us that these were opinions that came from intelligence and experience. I know she served on many other boards. That made her opinions and input very, very helpful. And that is how Valerie, I think, was really instrumental in transforming our companions.
Well, after 9 years, it's going to be interesting to come to a time in my life where I don't have a board meeting of our companions that I'm obligated to attend, having attended every meeting, I think. I don't think I've missed a meeting in 9 years. But really, this is a team effort. It's an amazing team. We have wonderful staff, amazing volunteers. The people in headquarters are just at the program center are just amazing, and so the handoff from me to the next board chair is really going to be flawless because it's a team effort, and it takes a team to make a difference, like it takes a village, and we have it in place here at our companions.
We will always be indebted to Valerie. We would not be here today without her. And if you really think about it, countless lives have been saved thanks to our growth. So many animals have been rescued, and our organization is on a path that really is transformed from where we used to be. And while we're going to miss her as being board chair, she is definitely going to stay involved. I promise that we will keep her roped in. But frankly, at the end of the day, we don't want to be on this journey without her.